Alright, in those last two videos I kind of, in a very roundabout way, was trying to get you to migrate towards the basic frailing strum. And what that ultimately becomes is strike a string, strum a chord, and then pop your thumb off that fifth note. If you've been researching how to play clawhammer banjo or frailing banjo, that's really what you're taught. And my emphasis in the first video was get control over that strike so that you can choose which string you're hitting when you do the strike. Because I think most of the melody really is going to come from that right hand technique. At the same time, you want to feel very comfortable dragging that middle finger nail down across all the strings to get that strum. And then eventually you want to be able to bring it in or take it out. And you might say, hey, what are the tabs to that you just played? Or what was that pattern that you used? Teach me that pattern. And I don't have any patterns. There are no patterns that I memorize. I just do this 1,000 times and I just kind of go with my gut. You know, when I first started to play, and I've left all my old videos on my YouTube channel going back 10 years, and it was really, really rough playing. I should take them down because it's embarrassing, but I leave it up there because hey, maybe you'll want to see it and say, hey, okay, if I keep working at it, you know, maybe I'll get better. But when I first started, it was pretty much this the whole time. Now sometimes I just play faster. All the notes were really loud. But as I got better at playing, I learned how to quiet my strike. A lot of people put rags inside their banjo, and that's fine at the beginning when you want to like lower the volume. But the best way to lower the volume is just strike the string softer, and to be honest, you get more control when you do that. Like just practice. You don't have to strum all the strings. You don't have to do that every single time. Sometimes you just want to just barely strum one or two strings. Remember, the difference between a strike is you're coming down on the string with your middle fingernail. You know, just. Whereas a strum, you're just scraping. And the angle is a little bit different. A strike comes in this way. A strum really goes that way. I didn't really think about that until recently. I sort of just treated the strum and the strike as the same. The difference was a strike is just strumming one string. And in a way it is, but the difference is the attack and the dynamics on and how hard you hit the string. Now a lot of people will debate, you know, you see me using my wrist and kind of twisting my hand up a bit, and maybe that's not the best thing in the world. It's just how I feel comfortable playing. I have feel very little stress when I do that. Some people use their whole arm because they can get more power. So it's in their elbow. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess I'm lazy. I'm just sitting there, you can see my wrist. But overall, whether you're using your elbow or your hand, regardless, there's very little movement going on in your hand. There's not a lot of this going on. You're not doing that. You know, you won't get any carpal tunnel or anything like that playing a banjo that you would get maybe playing a guitar. I'm not an expert, I don't know that, but for me, it feels so lazy. I'm exerting very little effort. So how do you get there? How do you go from just practicing striking strings and practicing your strum, and then practicing your thumb. How do you translate that basic frailing strum and get it to sound smooth and dynamic? I'm purposely not talking about drop thumb yet. I'll get to that. Right now I'm just talking about the basic frailing strum and how it really isn't so basic. See, I can play it so gently. Play it aggressively. Some people curl their thumb and when they're coming down to get more energy. Whatever works for you. I mean, I don't like that drone string to be too loud because it's always there. I'd like it to be more of a rhythm thing. Now it definitely works as part of the melody, so some people say don't call it a drone string for that reason. That's fine. Kinda don't care what you call it. Call it peanut butter for all I care. But here's what matters. Once you decide what you want to do with the banjo, if you want to do what I want to do, which is kinda turn your brain off and be able to frail without thinking about frailing, you got to do this 10,000 times. And I think during the time of this video, I've done it a couple hundred times already. Play faster, get more in. And you should practice at different speeds too. Try it slow. A lot of people don't like to play banjo slow. I think that's a shame. Just keep your left hand limited to playing chords. But this is how you get rhythm. And right now you're thinking maybe, oh God, that's so boring. I want to do that fancy drop thumb crap that you're doing. How do I get there? Well, you're not going to get there on day 3. You're not going to get there on day 100. You've got to get to the point where you can do this just reflexively and get to the point where you can talk and sing over this stuff. And it's very visceral. Like I said, it's how you end up playing is going to be because of how you get comfortable feeling the strings every day, even if it's 15 minutes a day for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Now let's say you actually do that. Let's say you get good at frailing. That's a basic frailing strum, right? Man, it's so boring. What can I do to make this more interesting while I'm practicing? Well, sing. Get a songbook that has 3 chords and just sing. Practice striking the different strings. There's a lot of great banjo players who have videos on how to sing such and such song. Watch those. You might even pick up a little bit of technique here and there too. Alright, so what's next after that? Okay, let's say it's day 100 and you've done, for 3 months you've been doing basic frailing strum and you're really enjoying the banjo and you're singing or you're just jamming along with other musicians. Well, now we can start talking about breaking those notes in half. That was very disruptive, right, to the basic frailing strum. Because now you got to think about what this hand is doing. But it works because this has been so ingrained into everything you're doing. What if you just want to skip the strum? That's disruptive. And you can only do that because you've already internalized that basic frailing strum. So you know what you're skipping. But again, then you got to practice that a couple hundred, couple thousand, maybe a couple 10,000 times. So it's also reflexive. But you're building off or taking away from that basic frailing strum. Maybe you don't feel too comfortable doing the hammer-ons and the pull-offs and the slides and the plucks with this hand. And you really like using this hand to break those notes in half, using drop thumb. That also takes practice, right? So let's talk about the drop thumb real quick here, right? So you got your basic. Let's start with the basic frailing strum. So it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. But the goal of breaking that note in half with the drop thumb is so you can do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So what you're introducing there is you're disrupting your process by taking your thumb, and after the strike, your thumb has come down to a string, any string, doesn't matter which, and you're just pulling that thumb off. Now the way I got better at it is I just practiced it. Sometimes it's hard to get your aim right, you know. You're used to just hitting that 5th string with your thumb. And the first time I tried doing that, I would just plunk it in the middle of the strings, or always misfire or hit the wrong string. That's going to happen. So kind of the training wheels approach is you just start with your thumb resting on, say, the 2nd string or the 3rd string. You strike the 1st string with your middle fingernail, and then you just pull off with your thumb, the same way you did by pulling off the 5th string. You did that exercise in the last video, but you can do the same thing on the 2nd string. It feels very different because the web in your thumb is now kind of compressing, right? You can try alternating. That does not come overnight, and it's not as natural feeling as doing the basic frailing strum. Again, I'm going to use the word, it's disruptive. You've disrupted the process of that basic frailing strum. And the reason maybe a lot of frailing banjo players don't like the drop thumb is because it gets in the way of the thing that is the most important, which is the rhythm, that reflexive rhythm that you play while you sing. You can do that and hum along. La da 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 da, la da da da. It's a lot harder to do that when you do the drop thumb. You go la da da da, la da da da, la da 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 da, la da da da. That hurts my brain trying to do that considerably more than doing that with the basic frailing strum. That's why a lot of times in my songs, when I'm singing, I'm mostly just doing the basic frailing strum with the occasional drop thumb. But then when I'm done singing and I just want to make it sound a little more fancy or more melodic between verses, you'll see more drop thumb or more dynamics sprinkled in. But whatever you do, if you're going to really focus on drop thumb, you've got to still commit the hours to that exercise. And there's, again, hundreds of videos where people break it down. I've made many, but this becomes a matter of where do you want to go next? Where's your journey going to take you? Are you going to sound more melodic, or do you want to focus more on singing? Do you want to focus more on chords? Do you want to focus more on breaking the note in half with your hand? You can play a melody with this hand, so you can go. That's where people get obsessed with tabs. But tabs only tell half the story. tabs really aren't telling you what you're doing with this hand. Also, tabs make something that is simple seem more complex than it really is. I might be holding a chord shape and do a drop thumb, and that's like 3 measures of tabs, and you're trying to memorize the individual notes instead of realizing the hand is just in a basic chord shape and you're doing a drop thumb on that basic chord shape. Or maybe you're just doing a basic chord shape and you're throwing a hammer on. Or maybe the pattern is just kind of simple. You just, maybe in this case I'm doing a pull off on the second string, or the third string, 2nd fret. And then I do a hammer on the 4th string, 2nd fret. It's just kind of a cool little pattern you just kind of came up with while you were noodling. But the tabs are going to make that seem really complicated. The best way to figure out the pieces of a song is just start with the chords and the basic frailing strum, and then start experimenting around it and do stuff that kind of complements the melody. The best tool to use in getting better playing banjo is your ear. So what I just did right there, right? Right? That was disruptive because instead of going strike, strum, strike, strum, thumb, strike, strum, thumb, I went strike, 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 thumb, strike, strum, thumb, right? And you can say, oh God, I gotta memorize that. He went strike, 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 thumb, strike, strum, strike, strike, strum, strum. You know, no. Don't do that. Just start with the basic frailing strum as your foundation. And then practice just taking things away and replacing things. And just kind of follow the song, use your guts. A lot of times I don't play the song the same way twice. So if you ask me, what are the tabs? I can't give them to you because I don't know what I did. Because I followed my intuition while I was playing, and we've all got intuition. Especially if you do this 10,000 times, you're gonna know those 4 strings, and it's just 4 strings. You're gonna know those strings better than anything. And you're gonna come up with all these little recipes, like that thing I do right there. It's a recipe, right? Hammer on. Phantom hammer on. And that's just from practicing the dynamics and experimenting. What if I strike a different string than the one I'm doing the hammer on? Or what if I start on the 3rd string instead of the 4th string? Or what if I, it's just combinations, and you just try all the different combinations and see what works. But the underlying thing there is, it's the basic frailing strum, and just practicing that so that you can maintain rhythm. If you don't have rhythm, then you just have a mess of notes. And you can try to use a metronome, and that actually kind of helps. You really should. But you're not going to have that handy all the time. The best thing you're going to have is your basic frailing strum and maybe the tap of the foot. When you get good at the basic frailing strum, disrupt it. Disrupt it with the drop thumb. This is more of a philosophy video about what to do next and really how are you going to get better. I can't really make a video that'll teach you how to do what I do that way, and besides, by the time you're done, you're going to have your way. A lot of the banjo players I love to follow, maybe all of them started off with the basic frailing strum, but they all sound so different. They have their own signature because of the shortcuts and the disruptions that they wanted to apply. Sometimes the basic frailing strum ends up completely unrecognizable once you've changed it so much. But that's part of the journey, and you're certainly not going to get that in 3 days. So I've been playing banjo for 10 years, and a lot of people have been playing it for 3 times longer than me. But just keep that hand moving like a washing machine. it softly. Play it loud. Play it softly. The basic frailing strum is not so basic after all. Alright, I think that'll be it for my basic how-to banjo videos for a while. If I do more how-to videos, they're going to be, you know, I'll focus on the specific things like hammer-ons or rhythm or whatever, but this is kind of the holistic, like look at it all together and what direction do I want to take my banjo playing kind of thing. So I hope that helps some of you. Don't take this as gospel. I'm not a trained teacher or anything. I'm a student just like you. This is me just sharing it mostly so I can get better. If I teach or if I practice talking about what I do, it helps me get better at doing what I do. So yeah, do the same thing. Make a how-to banjo video. You'll get better in the process. It's also considered paying forward. The person who taught me said, you don't have to pay me back, just teach someone else. Someone taught him, he taught me, maybe I'm teaching you, and you'll teach someone else. That's the folk tradition, and I really don't think it's about making money. I don't think, you know, some people can monetize it because that's how the world goes around, but don't blame them. Everybody's got to earn their nut, you know, but not me. This is totally my hobby. It's the one thing I do that gives me relaxation, and I don't have to stress about being good at it. I just have fun doing it, and usually I have the camera propped up against a beer, and when I stop this video, I'm gonna drink that beer and play some banjo. So I think that anyway,